Hi, I'm Dan from Endless Recording Studios.
I'm Nate.
And today we are reviewing the Way Huge Green Rhino. And the Green Rhino is their take on a Tubescreamer, kind of TS808, I guess, circuit, with a few cool exceptions. And I really like this one. I used to have a TS9, and I ended up selling it, not because it, I could still use that too, but this has some unique features that I really liked, and it was a little more versatile. Now, we're in overdrive mode. We're playing into a PRS Archon. It's nice and clean. So we have a nice clean platform, and this is providing all of our overdrive, our distortion. So, obviously I'm playing a blues style, through this and getting that kind of classic strat and break up bluesy overdrive distortion. This pedal also is used in some other ways classically as a Tubescreamer style, which is how would you use it?
I would mainly use it as just a boost going into a high gain amp. Maybe give it a little bit of drive just for some saturation and extra volume boost.
Yeah, and they typically, a Tubescreamer circuit has a little bit of a low end kind of roll off, which that helps in your situation by tightening up the low end for from jenting and chugging,
the whole modern metal thing.
Modern metal. So it's funny that it ends up being a very blues driven pedal, and people end up using it a lot for metal. It's just set a little differently in front of a different amp, and we're going to show all of that today. We're going to do three different things. We're going to showcase a little bit more about how it sounds with this strat and some bluesy tones. Then we're going to switch and use this Marshall JCM800 into the 4x12. And we'll show how we can kind of more of a Zach Wild. We put a little bit of drive, a little bit of volume boost in here to push the front end of that amp. And then we're going to go ahead and put the Archon in its dirty channel through the 4x12 for some more modern metal like you were talking about.
Yeah.
And see how that goes. So first off, you heard a little bit when we're starting off. This is a pretty, it's got that pretty standard sound. It sounds nice and clean version of this pedal. But a couple of options. We got your standard volume level. You get your standard drive and tone controls, but there's two other controls on this that aren't typical of a Tubescreamer circuit. One of them, I think, is most interestingly, as I talked about, the low end roll off that a typical TS9, TS808 has. This has a pot for that, a variable pot. It says 100 hertz, and you have minus 12 decibels and plus 12 decibels. So when I was playing it right there, we had it on 0, just a very flat. It's not doing anything to the low end. What's cool is we can turn it down and give you that, that cut that we're used to hearing on it. And if we need to go a little bit even more anemic than that, it goes pretty low. But I guess maybe if you wanted more of a Smashing Pumpkins-y kind of really big, bloomy, huge low end sound, you can crank it up 12 decibels in the low end. Definitely not going to be usable in the situation that we want to use it. It'll be way too much lows. I haven't really used it that much, but
it is there, at least for an option.
Yeah. You got a lot of more tonal low-end shaping options with this. And then this other one here is called Curve. And I got it set kind of in the middle. And it's very subtle. It's supposed to, they say it's a mid-range contour kind of thing.
Kind of like a frequency change, boost or cut kind of thing?
Yeah, not even boost. I think it moves the center frequency a little bit one way or the other. It's really tough to tell. We'll sweep and we'll play it and sweep around, and it's a very subtle thing. It's not very noticeable, but it's just a little bit of to help tailor it in, probably to different types. A Paul Reed Smith versus a Fender is going to have a very different tonality. Maybe you can dial it in a little bit better with that. So why don't I'm going to turn this back on. And so we're going to start off right where we had it, and then I'm going to have you start moving some knobs around, okay? You want to, turn this low-end frequency down and up, and then we'll mess with the drive and the tone and stuff and have some fun with it, all right?
I think that's pretty sick. I like this. It's like the more right I went, it was sounding more like low mids kind of deal, and then left is higher.
And like I said, it's super subtle.
Even the whole sweep was not even like that huge, but it was definitely there if you need it.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's more to help tailor your sound to like your rig more than it is as a tonal shaping option, like the tone knob is.
Right.
Actually, we should do that.
Oh yeah, that is true. Yeah,
let's go through that. So that I noticed.
Wow, that was super bright when I got
it.
It's
very bright, man. I was like, I should see my face.
Yeah, me too.
But that's actually really cool. It gets that really spanky if you have a Tele or a Strat and you kind of want that. A lot of guys go after that really spanky clean sound. So maybe you want to dial the drive back a little bit and get that tone way up there. And you can get that really kind of that single coil sound that really jumps and bites to the mix, old school style. That's cool. And then you get the go down low and you get kind of like the woman tone. You get the low. Get that really round tone.
Yeah.
Then get an opposite, bridge pickup all the way down there. Maybe we'll kill the drive a little bit more. Yeah, that's actually really cool for that kind of really spanky like that Leonard Skinner knows one earlier. Yeah, that kind of has a good sound to it for that. So yeah, it's quite versatile, the pedal. Even in just this mode, just using it as again to remind you guys, turning that pedal off is just a very, very clean tone. The PRS is a great pedal platform. It is nice, round, clean, pretty dry. So, what else? You got anything else to add to this in this mode?
I don't know. I think we covered pretty much everything. Yeah. Went through all the dials. So.
Yeah. So I think in this realm, I've used a Tubescreamer and TS9, like I said, I used to have, and I think it's a great sounding pedal. Especially you get that Strat, it's got that great bluesy tone. You can get a lot of diversity out of it. It's got a lot of gain. You can almost get into like the gain range of almost like a early plexi. You can do some kind of ZZ Top-ish kind of sound.
I mean, like you were saying, we're on a super clean channel right here. We were getting some pretty driven sounds. So. Right,
exactly. So that's great for that, and you get that bluesy tone. So there's a lot of it, especially with the low range, the tone, and the mids. I mean, this thing actually is way more versatile than you would think of just a standard TS style overdrive pedal.
Even just usually you only have these three controls minus these two, and I feel like these have a super wide range on them too.
Yeah, a lot bigger than a regular driver. So why don't we're gonna take a cut here, and we're gonna set up the Marshall, and we're gonna start working with that, and we'll come back to you. All right, guys, we're back. We're now plugged into the JCM800. We have this, and we had to put a noise suppressor pedal in there just to help kind of control it. We're so close to the amp, we're getting some feedback while we're doing this because it's a Marshall.
Super high gain too. Yeah. So yeah.
But that's the whole point. So why don't you go ahead and play a little bit? What we've done here is we've only got a very light drive setting here. Right now we've got the low end alone, so we're not scooping any of the low end out, but we've pushed the volume pretty hot. So basically what we're doing is we're taking this amp that doesn't have a ton of gain. I'm actually going to... This is a pretty high gain JCM800, so I've pulled the gain back a little bit just to show you a normal like mid-gain guitar amp. And what happens when you push that input signal into that first tube and get it to start to distort at that point and push the whole amp into a higher overdrive. So you're not really adding a lot of drive here, you're just adding a lot of volume boost. And the tone's pretty much right in the middle. We'll go ahead and play and I'll kick it in. Yeah, let me see that for a second here, and you can do the on and off. So we'll give you a different perspective. It's kind of nice having the two of us here because we're pretty different styles of playing.
Absolutely.
A little bit, so.
I think that shows just from what I was just playing in your intro of the strat.
I mean, I play some heavy stuff too, but yeah, you're we definitely got the gent and the blues. And
right.
But, And back to the regular. Back. Oh, I realize I'm playing that wrong now, but
that's all right.
Just to give you the idea of how different that can be in a couple different situations that we're pushing. Like I said, we're not taking any low end out. We're just pushing the gain to get a mid-gain guitar amp up to, that's why I kind of started playing some of the Zakk Wylde Aussie era stuff. Yeah. That's what he did a lot. He used, of course, it was heavily modified, but a JCM 800 style amp with a, he actually has a wild overdrive made by MXR, by Dunlop, but, we're kind of using a similar circuit to do the same thing. Okay. Anything else we want to cover in that? I think that was just pretty.
Well, I think it's funny. I think it should be taken into consideration, especially for 7-string or more string players, lower tune players. I think a lot of them will go to this and think like, oh man, that's super bass, and crank up the low end. Yeah. When in reality, with something like that, you want to take a lot out because if you crank the low end on like a 8-string guitar, you're gonna get super flubby, disgusting sounding.
Let's try that in here even a little bit.
Yeah.
We'll take it on and take some of this out, and maybe we'll start here and you can sweep it down for me.
See, I think somewhere in there is just enough to really, clean it up. But
it seems at some point, if you go, it's got so much reduction in that.
I turned it all the way down. I was like, oh man,
you lose a lot of the gain because you're taking so much signal away that you're sending to the amp that the amp actually starts to de-gain a little bit,
right? Because it's less less volume.
Yeah, that's insane. But like I said, it's just it's not even. It's not all the way down, but it's not all the way up. It's a little bit lower, and it kind of sounds roughly what that Tubescreamer roll-off would be.
Right.
If it, a normal one.
Yeah, and you hear me turn it up all the way too. It got super big.
That's actually really cool, though. I mean, if you wanted that, like I said, you wouldn't want that in a metal setting, but something like we were talking before, like a more Smashing Pumpkins-y kind of vibe would be really neat. You can boost that low end and get that more kind of almost fuzzy sound out of the amp. You're not going to have as many layers in the mix. Maybe that's your only guitar layer in the mix at that point. You can really fuzz it out and get some cool tones. So again, just adds a lot more versatility to this pedal than a regular Tubescreamer. All right, now we're going to do the last stop, which is going to be your forte here. We're going to use the Archon lead channel into the 4x12 with the so it's going to have a pretty metal sound to begin with, and then we're going to use this to cut low end and boost the front end of the amp to tighten up for some genty style. All right, folks, we're back here. Now we've got the Paul Reed Smith Archon, but keep this in mind, it's only a 25 watt combo. But we have output it into the Randall 4x12 cab, bypassing the internal speaker, and we have it set for the lead channel. Some nice distortion, and then we're going to kick on and off this. So now we have this set where we ended off last time. We have the drive all the way off, The volume boosted quite a bit. We backed the tone off just a hair and backed this low end control back down to where we said was about the same as a normal Tubescreamer.
Yeah.
So I'll just turn that on and off, and you'll see the difference. Like I said, you're going to notice quite a bit of extra gain and extra, a little bit of fuzziness. It gets a little soupy in a response, and you get a little bit of low end to tighten up the especially on that 7th string when he's doing some genting work. It's going to clean it up a little bit. Especially say if you had a 100-watt head or something and you were really pumping a lot of volume through a 4x12, you would notice a lot of difference in the resonance between that super low end and a more controlled low end.
Absolutely. Even in this 25-watt, this little small speaker versus the 4x12, you can feel so much more. You hear so much more.
Yes, exactly.
Speakers are working.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna flip it on the lead and let you go ahead and start playing. Nice. And, I know many of you will probably think watching that, hey, that sounds better with it off. It's all stylistically. I like the tone of the Archon a lot as it is. I love it. I don't use a pedal like this in front of it, but it has its purpose. I mean, you may want to set the dials and stuff a little bit different if you're going to use it exclusively this way.
Right.
But a lot of people, you could hear, if you're that kind of player, you got a lot more gain, probably a lot more good for leads and stuff too as well. But that low end reduction is definitely good if you're going to be in a mix with a lot of other stuff. So if you're using it with you got a really dense mix with a lot of heavy bass and a couple of guitars, 2-3 guitars layered up doing that. You're going to really want that low end a little more controlled than having the full low end. We all want the guitar to be thunderous, huge, shake everybody's faces off in the stage, but it doesn't really. It just clouds up a mix or a live setting on stage, especially.
Yeah. And especially too, like recording and whatnot, you do not want to have that much low end going through into your mix.
Yeah, exactly. So. Yeah. Well, how about in live? How have you've obviously used stuff like this live more often than I have. How do you feel as though that plays better with like 2 guitar players doing that, and the bass sounds clearer? I mean, what are your experiences with that?
Yeah, I think especially. You do want to sound big, but I think that's the perk of having 2 guitar players. You know what I mean? Then you can do dual rhythms and whatnot. You don't have to worry about the low frequencies as much, and then the bass comes through for the low frequencies and makes it all that much cleaner, I think.
Yeah. All right. So there we have it. We've done the three basic things I've seen people do with a Tubescreamer style circuit, and the Way Huge Green Rhino I think is like I said, it's my bet. For that, that's why between all the different ones that I've used, this is the one I keep around the studio, keep around on my pedal board, and I've used it different ways, and I've even used it, without the strat, the humbuckers, and just the clean channel as like a mid gain, because this amp is only 2 channels, clean and dirty, and a lot of times I used to use this even just as a 3rd channel on the clean channel, the clean, then I'd kick that in, kind of have that overdrivey mid gain for more of a classic rock vibe, or just even like you go clean, and maybe you want a verse and a chorus difference where you both want distortion, but you don't want full out distortion all the time and everything. It's kind of a good alternative, almost acts like a 3rd channel.
Absolutely.
And then
kind of like what I compare to would be the EVH, like the 5150. You know what I mean? Kind of like the clean, and then there's your blue channel, and save the red channel for the leads. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So what's your overall impression?
I think it's awesome. I love the range and the variety of tones you can get out of it, and I think
I really like the versatility. I think that's my favorite part about this versus any other circuit that I've seen in this Tubescreamer, is that low end being able, because that's one of the things I always hated, was I loved it for being able to push the low end, and with the situation that we just did, I love being able to tighten up the low end in front of the amp, but at the same time, when I'm just playing the strat through the clean channel, sometimes I felt like taking that low end away was too thin, and I didn't really like it. I wanted that, a little bit more response, because I don't necessarily playing it in that capacity where like you want the low end gone. So it's nice to have the option. Hey, I don't need low end for this, or I do for this. It's a one knob turn in one pedal.
Absolutely.
Listen, they did a really good job with that circuit too. I feel as though some cheaper versions of the Tubescreamer circuit are just a little more cloudy, just by a little bit degree. The circuitry in this is really clean. They did a really nice job. One thing I want to point out, and now that we've got all playing out of control and stuff like that too, we want to point out that I love the battery door. Battery door is great. One little thing, you got the battery at the front. You don't have to do any unscrewing or odd stuff.
As
as we were
compared to some other pedals
it's built pretty rugged, nice construction, metal, and it has the standard DC input that a very whatever, I don't know what the standard is called, but all the Boss pedals and Dunlop pedals and all that have that standard 9-volt pin out, same thing. So if any of your standard one spots or anything would power it fine. So I that's another thing I like about it too is the form factor. The battery doors on these Way Huge products are awesome because it's so much easier accessible, and the rugged construction is nice.
Yeah, it does look a very solid pedal.
Yeah, so. Exactly. It's really good. I think that's it. Thank you for joining us. We're going to keep doing this. We'll have a few more videos. Be sure to check all our other videos on YouTube. Be sure to check us out at endlessrecording.com. And check out the Mixing Guru, also as a subdivision, for more mixing and recording related stuff. I've been Dan.
I'm Nate.
And thank you for watching.